Hey Switch fans, welcome back to Switch Top. The Nintendo Switch 2 has finally arrived, and with it comes an incredible lineup of games that take full advantage of the new hardware. Today, we're counting down the 15 best games you can play on Nintendo's latest console right now. Let's jump right in. Mio, Memories in Orbit is an atmospheric Metroidvania that focuses heavily on exploration, movement, and quiet storytelling, making it a great fit for Nintendo Switch 2. You play as Mio, a small robot that awakens inside a massive, abandoned spaceship known as the Vessel, a place slowly falling apart after its caretaking AIs have malfunctioned. The gameplay is built around classic Metroidvania progression, with a large interconnected map that constantly encourages backtracking as you unlock new abilities. Movement is one of the game's strongest elements, featuring smooth platforming with double jumps, wall climbs, grappling mechanics, and air control that make traversal feel fluid and satisfying. Combat is more deliberate than flashy, focusing on positioning, dodging, and smart use of upgrades rather than complex combos, with boss fights that test your mastery of movement. The story is told subtly through environmental details, memory fragments, and short text logs, gradually revealing what happened to the ship and its inhabitants. Combined with its painterly sci-fi art style and melancholic tone, the game delivers a calm but engaging experience that rewards curiosity and patience.
The little sapling who wished to save the sun.
Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade delivers a cinematic JRPG experience on Nintendo Switch 2 that blends real-time action with tactical depth. Combat revolves around a hybrid system where characters move and attack freely, while special abilities, magic, items, and summons are triggered through the ATB gauge, encouraging players to switch between party members and think strategically during battles. Each character plays differently, and the materia system allows deep customization, letting you shape roles, elemental strengths, and support skills to match your playstyle. Exploration mixes linear, story-driven sections with open hubs filled with side quests that expand the world and its characters. The story reimagines the opening chapter of the original Final Fantasy VII, focusing on Cloud Strife and the resistance group Avalanche as they challenge a powerful corporation draining the planet's life force. Narrative moments are more detailed and character-focused, with expanded dialogue and emotional scenes that add weight to familiar events without relying on prior knowledge. The Intergrade version also includes the Yuffie-focused episode, introducing new combat mechanics and perspectives that freshen the overall experience. Dynasty Warriors Origins brings a refreshed take on the Musou formula to Nintendo Switch 2, combining large-scale battles with a stronger focus on combat depth and storytelling. Instead of simply mowing down enemies, combat emphasizes timing and positioning through dodges, blocks, counters, and parries, giving each encounter more weight while still delivering the classic thrill of fighting hundreds of soldiers at once. Players control a single protagonist who wields different weapon types, each offering distinct attack patterns and tactical options on the battlefield. Between missions, the game opens up into explorable areas where you can visit towns, manage equipment, accept optional objectives, and interact with famous generals from the era. The story draws inspiration from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, presenting the conflict through a new perspective that places the player at the center of shifting alliances and large-scale wars. Narrative moments aim to give emotional context to the chaos of battle, making victories and defeats feel more personal. With smoother performance, refined mechanics, and a more deliberate combat flow, the game stands out as one of the most ambitious and approachable entries in the series on the platform.
I don't know whose side the heavens are on.
Super Mario Galaxy and Super Mario Galaxy 2 together offer one of the most creative and polished 3D platforming experiences available on Nintendo Switch 2. Both games are built around gravity-defying level design, where Mario runs across small spherical planets, leaps between floating platforms, and navigates space in ways that constantly challenge your sense of movement and timing. The core gameplay focuses on tight controls, precise jumps, and clever use of mechanics like launch stars, spin attacks, and collectible star bits, which can be used to interact with the environment or briefly stun enemies. Each galaxy introduces fresh ideas, from puzzle-focused stages to fast-paced challenge levels, keeping the experience varied and consistently engaging. Progression is driven by collecting power stars, which unlock new galaxies and steadily expand the scope of the adventure. The story remains simple and accessible, following Mario as he travels through space to stop Bowser and rescue Princess Peach. But the atmosphere, music, and visual creativity give the journey a surprising emotional charm, especially through subtle moments tied to Rosalina and the cosmos. Octopath Traveler 0 expands on the series' classic turn-based JRPG formula, while introducing new systems that give it a stronger sense of scale and progression on Nintendo Switch 2. Combat is built around the familiar break and boost mechanics, rewarding players for exploiting enemy weaknesses and carefully timing powered-up actions. But it adds more depth through larger party options and flexible positioning that allow for smarter tactical swaps during battle. Exploration blends traditional overworld travel, dungeons, and side quests with a town-building system that lets you rebuild a destroyed village, unlocking new facilities and benefits as your journey progresses. The story follows a customizable protagonist, starting from nothing, gradually pulling together allies and uncovering a broader narrative centered on loss, recovery, and rising against powerful forces shaping the world. Rather than focusing on a single hero, the game emphasizes how different characters and stories intersect, creating a more cohesive narrative flow than earlier entries. With its signature HD 2D art style, strategic combat depth, and expanded progression systems, the game delivers a rich JRPG experience that feels familiar to fans while still offering meaningful evolution.
Ready. How's that?
Time to strike! Now's the time!
Now or never.
Mario Kart World takes the familiar Mario Kart formula and expands it into a connected, open-world racing experience that feels fresh while staying true to the series' core identity on Nintendo Switch 2. Instead of isolated tracks, races are spread across a large, seamless world where players can drive between regions, discover shortcuts, and transition naturally from one event to the next. The driving still centers on tight controls, drifting, boosts, and chaotic item battles, but new mechanics like wall jumps, rail grinding, charged jumps, and limited rewind options in solo play add more depth and experimentation to each race. Traditional Grand Prix events are reworked into long, connected routes, while large-scale modes push the action further with massive elimination-style races that emphasize endurance and positioning. Outside of competitive play, a free roam mode encourages exploration, letting players take on challenges, hunt for collectibles, or simply cruise through the world at their own pace. While the game doesn't focus on story, its sense of adventure comes from discovery and progression across a living Mario-themed map. Trails in the Sky First Chapter delivers a deeply story-driven JRPG experience on Nintendo Switch 2, blending classic turn-based combat with rich world-building and character-focused storytelling. You follow Estelle Bright and her adopted brother Joshua as they begin their journey as junior members of the Bracer Guild, traveling across the peaceful yet politically tense kingdom of Liberl, while helping townsfolk and uncovering larger conflicts beneath the surface. Combat is tactical and methodical, built around turn order, positioning, and the Orb Mint system, which allows you to customize characters through modular upgrades that affect stats, abilities, and elemental strengths. Battles reward planning over brute force, making enemy encounters feel thoughtful and satisfying. Exploration plays a major role, with detailed towns, evolving NPC dialogue, and side quests that add depth and continuity to the world, making Liberl feel alive and reactive to your progress. The story unfolds at a steady pace, focusing on character growth, relationships, and subtle political intrigue rather than constant high-stakes drama, which helps build emotional investment over time.
Ran away in fear from the great bracer Estelle.
You're not a bracer yet. Yeah.
We're almost there. An exam, huh?
Come on, it's too late to back out now.
Persona 3 Reload brings a refined version of a classic JRPG to Nintendo Switch 2, blending turn-based dungeon combat with a deep social simulation loop that gives the experience its unique identity. You play as a high school student who becomes aware of the Dark Hour, a hidden time where supernatural threats emerge and only those with Persona abilities can fight back. Gameplay is split between daily life and nighttime exploration, where attending school, building friendships, and improving social stats directly influence your strength in battle. Combat focuses on exploiting enemy weaknesses, managing a party with distinct personas, and chaining powerful attacks through smart turn management. The dungeon crawling emphasizes strategy and preparation rather than brute force, rewarding players who understand elemental affinities and team synergy. Storytelling is one of the game's strongest elements, exploring themes of mortality, identity, and human connection through a cast of well-developed characters whose personal struggles unfold naturally over time. The remake modernizes the experience with updated visuals, a cleaner interface, smoother pacing, and expanded character interactions, making the narrative easier to engage with while preserving its emotional impact. Yakuza 0 Director's Cut delivers a dense action-adventure experience on Nintendo Switch 2 that blends raw street combat with a deeply engaging crime drama set in 1980s Japan. The story follows two playable protagonists, Kazuma Kiryu and Goro Majima, whose separate lives in the criminal underworld gradually intertwine through power struggles, betrayals, and personal conflicts. Combat is fast, brutal, and highly flexible, with each character able to switch between multiple fighting styles on the fly, allowing players to adapt to different enemy types and crowd situations using heavy strikes, quick combos, and environmental attacks. Beyond combat, the game's cities feel alive thanks to a huge variety of side activities, from story-driven sub-stories to mini-games that range from arcade challenges to business management, adding depth and tonal contrast to the serious main narrative. The director's cut enhances the experience with additional cutscenes and expanded presentation that further develop characters and key story moments. With smooth performance, detailed urban environments, and a balance of intense drama and absurd humor, the game stands out as one of the most content-rich and memorable action games available on the platform. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond brings the series back with a strong focus on exploration, atmosphere, and thoughtful first-person gameplay that feels perfectly suited to Nintendo Switch 2. You once again step into the role of Samus Aran, stranded on a mysterious alien planet after a confrontation with her longtime rival, Silksong. The game builds on classic Metroid Prime foundations, encouraging players to carefully explore interconnected regions, scan environments for clues, and unlock new paths through upgraded abilities. Combat balances precision shooting with movement and awareness, pushing you to dodge attacks, manage enemy patterns, and make smart use of Samus's evolving arsenal. Puzzles are tightly integrated into the world, often requiring tools like the Morph Ball, Grapple Beam, and newly introduced psychic-style abilities that let Samus manipulate objects, uncover hidden structures, and interact with the environment in fresh ways. These powers add depth to both traversal and combat without straying from the series' identity. Storytelling is more present than before, using cinematic moments and environmental details to expand the lore while preserving the feeling of isolation that defines the franchise. Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD 2D Remake reintroduces two foundational JRPG adventures on Nintendo Switch 2 with a modern presentation that respects their classic design. Both games are built around traditional turn-based combat, careful exploration, and steady character progression, but the HD 2D visual style adds depth and atmosphere to the worlds while preserving their original layouts. In the first adventure, you control a lone hero descended from the legendary Erdrick, exploring the land of Alefgard, gathering equipment, and making strategic choices in battle as you push back the forces threatening the kingdom. The second game expands the formula with a larger world, multiple party members, and more varied combat roles, giving battles greater tactical depth. Quality of life improvements, such as clearer interfaces, smoother pacing, and modern navigation, help the experience feel more approachable without removing its deliberate, old-school rhythm. The story remains simple and timeless, focusing on heroism, legacy, and the struggle against darkness. But added narrative touches and refined presentation help the journey feel more cohesive and engaging. Hades 2 builds on the fast, addictive roguelike foundation of the original, while expanding its mechanics and narrative scope on Nintendo Switch 2. You play as Melinue, a witch of the underworld, battling through constantly shifting arenas as she pushes toward a confrontation with powerful mythological forces. Combat remains quick and precise, centered on fluid movement, well-timed dodges, and weapon-based attack patterns, but introduces new systems like a magic resource that adds more depth to ability management and build planning. Each run is shaped by boons granted from the gods, allowing you to create synergies that dramatically change how your character plays, encouraging experimentation and replayability. Between attempts, progression continues through crafting, permanent upgrades, and character interactions that steadily open up new options and story elements. The narrative is woven directly into the gameplay loop, with dialogue and relationships evolving naturally as you fail, retry, and push further with each run. Rather than punishing defeat, the game uses it to strengthen both mechanics and storytelling.
Spindles.
Cyberpunk 2077 Ultimate Edition delivers a massive open-world RPG experience on Nintendo Switch 2, centered around player choice, character progression, and immersive storytelling. You play as V, a customizable mercenary navigating the neon-lit streets of Night City, a dense, futuristic metropolis filled with crime, corporate power, and moral gray areas. Gameplay blends first-person shooting with RPG mechanics, allowing you to approach encounters through gunplay, melee combat, stealth, or hacking, depending on how you build your character. Skills, perks, and cyberware upgrades let you specialize in different playstyles, whether you prefer high-tech net running, brute force combat, or a balanced hybrid. The city itself is packed with main missions and optional gigs that often feature branching outcomes and strong narrative hooks, making exploration feel meaningful rather than repetitive. The included expansion content expands the world with new locations, characters, and storylines that lean into espionage and high-stakes decision-making. Despite technical compromises compared to other platforms, the experience retains the scale, depth, and atmosphere that define Night City. Hollow Knight Silksong builds on the foundations of the original, with a faster, more aggressive take on the Metroidvania formula that feels right at home on Nintendo Switch 2. You play as Hornet, a highly agile warrior who relies on speed, acrobatic movement, and precision, rather than brute strength as she explores the vast, interconnected kingdom of Farloom. Gameplay emphasizes fluid traversal, with climbing, dashing, and aerial combat allowing for constant momentum as you move through handcrafted environments filled with secrets and hidden paths. Combat is skill-driven and demanding, focused on reading enemy patterns, timing attacks, and using a wide range of tools and abilities that can be upgraded and customized through crafting systems. Boss encounters are a major highlight, pushing players to master movement and positioning rather than overpowering foes. Progression is non-linear, encouraging exploration and backtracking as new abilities open up previously unreachable areas. The story is told subtly through environmental details, NPC interactions, and fragmented lore, gradually revealing the history of the kingdom and Hornet's role within it. Donkey Kong Bananza delivers a bold take on 3D platforming on Nintendo Switch 2 by making environmental destruction a core part of how you explore and progress. You control Donkey Kong as he dives into massive underground regions where nearly everything can be smashed, reshaped, or broken apart to uncover hidden paths, secrets, and shortcuts. Punching through terrain isn't just visual flair, it's a constant gameplay mechanic that turns the world itself into a puzzle, encouraging experimentation and creative problem-solving. Platforming mixes classic jumping and traversal with physics-driven interactions, keeping movement dynamic and satisfying. The adventure is supported by varied biomes, each introducing new materials, hazards, and challenges that push you to rethink how you approach exploration. Combat and boss encounters use the same destruction-focused design, rewarding aggressive play and smart use of the environment. The story follows Donkey Kong alongside Pauline as they journey deeper underground toward mysterious goals, adding light narrative context without interrupting the flow of gameplay. Rather than relying heavily on dialogue, the game lets its mechanics and level design tell most of the story. And there you have it, the top 15 best Nintendo Switch 2 games you can play right now. What games are you playing on your Switch 2? If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button and subscribe to Switch Top for more Nintendo Switch 2 content. Until next time,